The two sub-modes in this mode are clip mode and track mode. In clip mode you have native control over an 8x8 clip grid, and this can be remapped via MIDI mapping if you like. In track mode you have track launch and track stop controls. The way these work is you can select the scene with these buttons here, and then you can launch the clips on that scene, alright, for each track. You can also stop each track as well. Alright, and then these buttons here will transpose the currently selected clip, and this button here will reset the current transposition. And finally on the bottom you have mute, solo, and arm switches again. The two sub-modes in this mode are user 1 and user 2. In both sub-modes, the buttons on the bottom here handle mute, solo, and arm again. Alright, the top 40 buttons in user 1 are user assignable to whatever you want in live. As an example, I've assigned these two buttons to the mute switches on my return tracks. In user 2, you have 8 sets of increase-decrease switches. These are useful for controlling parameters that have a wide range of values, like the length of a clip's loop or the position of a clip's loop. Alright, so that's what I've done in this example. I can control the loop length in small increments or big increments, and I can also control the position as well. This mode gives you access to 40 scale types. You play the scales with the upper buttons up here. Alright, right now they're just playing a chromatic scale. To change that, switch to the sub mode, and now you have 40 buttons to select which scale you want to play. So you select a scale, and then you can preview it by pressing this button. Alright, so that's a blues scale, that's the one I want to select. So now I have that assigned here. Alright, right now that's playing in C. You could switch that with these buttons down here. I'll switch it to F. You can also switch that while you're holding down notes. Alright, you can also move between octaves while holding down notes. Alright, on the side here you can control velocity just like in drum mode. Alright, down here you have pitch bend controls. These kind of like gradually bend the pitch up and down, and then you have a mod wheel up in the upper corner. And that also like gradually fades the mod wheel up. This mode gives you access to scale tone chords. By default you'll be in major scales. You can also switch to minor. Alright, and you can also switch the inversions of the chords. Right now they're playing in root position. You can switch to first inversion or second inversion. You can also cycle between inversions with this button here. Alright, now up here you have one octave of the scale. Alright, right now that's one octave above the scale. You can switch it to one octave below the scale. Alright, right now these are triads, just 3-note chords. You can add a power chord to get a fuller sound. Alright, another thing about this mode is that each note in the chord sends out on a different MIDI channel. So the highest note sends out on channel 1, second highest on channel 2, etc. So that makes it so you can play ensembles essentially. That right there is 5 different instruments, and then the scale up here plays on a different MIDI channel, so you can play a total of 6 instruments at the same time. Chord mode also has an additional sub mode. This is learn mode, and here you can learn chords up to 5 notes each to these 7 buttons. Alright, so the way that works is you press shift plus one of these buttons to get into learn mode, then play a chord from a second controller. Alright, and then when you're done learning, just press this button. Alright, so now you can trigger the chord from this button, and you can trigger the notes in the chord from those buttons. Alright, so let me learn a couple more chords here. Alright, and again you have 7 of those to work with, so you can come up with chord progressions, even arpeggios like this.